Russia-Ukraine news. Ukrainians attempted to bite us, and in the process broke their teeth. The soldier wears this mask, which is controlled with a joystick and into which video is transmitted. This is where he can see the photo, and it's controlled by the camera itself. The deputy head of the drone division and technical support of the Cascade battalion of the Russian army is giving his operator maneuvering ideas. Attention somewhere in the Donetsk suburbs that is out of sight and provided as safe. A drone's distinctive light ticking sound sounded after a few seconds. This FPV model is the standard issue variety sold at most major retailers. The manager in the khaki balaclava, however, has 6 additional gadgets sitting next to him. These deadly effective drones are widely used by the Russian military and have a wingspan of just centimeters to meters. They can destroy anything from moving or stationary humans to large pieces of machinery. The coupe comes first, but the lancet is the most valuable tool. This explosive drone measures about 1.60 meters in length, has 4 wings, and a propeller mounted on its back. Simply put, the lancet's aims are broad. Tanks, armored vehicles, and even cars should be attacked. Also, air defense systems, radar stations, radars, artillery, self-propelled artillery, etc. His signature move is a devastating counterattack. He has proven to be very effective in this role, the soldier's profile reads. When it comes to drones, more is better. It appears that Western-supplied 155mm guns were particularly vulnerable to the effects of this ammunition. Syria was the first country to implement it. The Lancet III is still widely used in Russia as of the fall of 2018-2019. This 12-kilogram drone has an estimated price range of $20,000 to $40,000. As a result, it is exempt from anti-Moscow sanctions. The significance of these weapons was signaled on Tuesday when the Kremlin released details of a meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Sergei Semazov, head of the Rostec consortium. Putin has gone on record as saying that Cube and Lancet have proven to be extremely effective tools. They destroy ammunition and any type of equipment, including those made by foreign countries. The manufacturers assured me that they would raise production levels. They deliver on their word, but not nearly enough. We have no pressing requirement. On the other hand, technical aid is mentioned by the deputy chief of the drone division and stunt battalion. Drones are extremely short-lived weapons, so production needs to be ramped up accordingly. There are deaths, there are gunshots, and there are sometimes rough landings. It's the equivalent of machine gun bullets. He thinks the more you have, the better. This Russian military disaster in Donbass, with more than 400 casualties and the destruction of 80 vehicles, will be difficult for Putin to hide. The ministry said RFI had no right to observe the drones flying around Sergei Shoigu's Lyman and Gremina territory. Security, which had been in place, was relocated last week, and the Russian military is now making territorial gains claims nearly every day. Russia installed a government that ran the RFI, which was highly improbable in some parts of Zaporizhia. The fortification lines, even if inaccessible to the Ukrainian counteroffensive forces, may have been meticulously mapped and photographed by satellite for months. We know nothing about the Russian side of the conflict, so the sound and fury of the fighting and the crucial course of this phase are unknown to us. There are locks on every door. Only by road from Melitopol or Donetsk is access to the area permitted, though it is rarely used. Russia's sway. Even though this area of Zaporizhia has been partially affected by fighting and martial law since last autumn, Russia plans to organize regional elections there in early September. On June 15, an official announcement was made, and as of this writing, applications are under consideration. The Regional Election Commission head, Galina Anatolievna Katachenko. Which kinds of profiles do people have access to? Natives or Russian representatives? There will be no disclosure until the application deadline, which is August 17. On September 10, the actual vote will be cast. Except in conflict-affected areas, Galina Anatolievna Katachenko explains. The first of these mobile teams will be sent out on August 31. She also reveals that preparations for sending trained personnel there are currently underway. Anisa El Jabri, RFI, Galina Anatolievna Katachenko. There are nearly 500,000 people registered to vote in local bodies. According to Sergei Alexandrovich Dolmachev, assistant to the governor appointed by Russia, now we have a simple voting procedure. People can vote with old Ukrainian passport and/or any other identity document. Nearly 350,000 Russian passports have been distributed so far. There is still time before the April presidential election to apply for a Russian passport, and I hope that everyone will be able to do so. Moscow is using both incentives and threats to hasten its passportization policy. The bare minimum pension for those without a Russian passport is $10,000 per year. But it grows by a factor of 2. Officials here also note that new mothers in Russia receive a cash payment of 500,000 rubles as a maternity benefit. Sergei Alexandrovich Tolmachev insists, Russia is a social state, but some regions still haven't decided what can be added. For related reading, see also, The Soprano tries to sell modern living armor to Moscow. Don't cancel your Crimea vacation. Under Vladimir Putin's leadership, the country is also making significant investments in its roadways. Tar must sting your nostrils and throat as you make your way from Donetsk to Melitopol on the Sea of Azov. In the hot August sun, a narrow band of dark blue asphalt stands out against the backdrop of fields of sunflowers. Construction vehicles, including cranes and trucks, are plentiful, and workers in fluorescent orange vests are hard at work. Bridges, road widening, etc. Russia is flexing its muscles all over the world. It's important to note that the main thoroughfares leading to Moscow are top priorities. Tourists, don't cancel your trip to Crimea, the legal press echoed the day after the attack on the Kerch Bridge on July 17. You can go ahead and travel through the new territories, the Russian term for the territories they have annexed, authors note. Detailed maps with helpful hints, such as, do not count on urinating in nature. All sides and fields can be cut, provide a lighthearted introduction to the vacation. Magazines and some telegram channels advise readers to stock up on gas and water before setting out. Most importantly, don't rush into it. Everything the military could ever want. They may become anxious due to the numerous obstacles they must overcome. Tinted back windows, which are very common in the area, evoke a sense of restraint. The few pieces of missiles stored very carefully on the side, the barbed wire on some of the parapets of the road, and the ballet of helicopters overhead all serve to remind us that we are fighting 150 kilometers away. No one is interested in small talk here. You don't waste time lingering at gas stations, you fill up and move on. The two Russians, both of whom are from Crimea and who were returning from a business meeting in Moscow, refused to speak into the microphone but were optimistic that they would be able to leave on Monday. Having some heft to it. These two 40th hesitated, one eye on the road and the other on the information being distributed, before deciding to continue on to the Crimea after learning the day before that 2 bombs had been dropped on the 3 crossroads leading there. By means of the telegram system. Also, C-12 missiles were intercepted, according to the Air Force, over Kiev. We ensure that the number of customers at one of the few rest stops still operating on the road doubles and that families continue to pass through. Grandmothers, mothers, and even 10-year-olds can be found here, all smiling as they make their way to the beaches of southern Crimea, thanks to the comforting air conditioning. Patty, with her menu in hand, said, "Unless a shell is sent to us, all is well with me." The 3 individuals were evacuees from Donetsk, a city in Ukraine that has been in turmoil for the past decade. Take it to the extreme and wipe them out completely. These bombings in Ukraine and where they fit into their grand strategy. As the Russians gathered in Donetsk, it was already too late. Donetsk soldier, Chika, advances in front of his drones, saying, "My point is that their counterattack was highly publicized and it turned out badly for them. If the Ukrainians are given another 2 or 3 weeks, or even another month, they will still fail. All of their dealings have an air of excitement about them, which is fine by me. Everything is incinerated. They proved that their machines and weapons could not be destroyed. But it's the mentality of the people that counts, and ours destroys everything," he confirms, smiling slightly under his khaki green balaclava. His superior also had some pointed words for him. They wanted to bite, they broke their teeth, the proud builders of last winter's now famous forts proclaimed. That settled it. They knew things wouldn't go as planned. Cutting off the land corridor to the Crimea and other major victories they planned on achieving failed miserably. They'll probably come back to us this fall and say sorry and, come on, it's over, guys, let's negotiate. Russian political power has made no secret of its intention to conduct and direct the conflict for as long as it takes to achieve its objectives, as evidenced by an increase in the size of the army in a country that has been in a war.